Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Oxhorn, and I've got a question for you. Is it morally wrong to kill Pickman? For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Pickman is a serial killer that you come across in Fallout 4. As you roam around downtown Boston, every now and then you may come across some bodies of raiders that you did not kill. These bodies will have a calling card placed on them, Pickman's calling card. If you go to Goodneighbor and talk to Hancock, you learn a little bit more about who this Pickman really is.
There's a lot of weird talk coming in about a place called the Pickman Gallery. Snoop it out and give me the word.
Accepting this quest places the Pickman Gallery icon on your map, and when you head over you find a red door in a brick wall with a raider's body on the floor. When you enter, you hear a conversation underway between raiders.
You think we're gonna catch this Pickman psycho?
The slippery bastard got away before, but Slab won't leave a man breathing after he's hunted our crew.
I heard Pickman skinned Roy alive after he snatched him. Let the rats get at him. Gives me the creeps just thinking about it.
No joke. The faster we clip this asshole, the better. It always feels like something's watching me in here.
It appears that Pickman has been deliberately targeting raiders and killing all that he can find. But more than that, he's been doing disturbing things with their bodies. Upon entering the gallery and clearing it of the raiders there, you find a gallery of disturbing artwork on the walls with dead bodies and gore piled up in the middle. The bathroom on this floor has bloody handprints on the walls and viscera everywhere. It is truly a disturbing and disgusting place. The images on the wall are all just weird and crazy, and they look like they've been painted with blood. You actually find a piece of artwork that's being painted. It's in the middle of being produced, and you find a can of blood next to it. So it's clear that Pickman, whoever he is painting with blood. Not just any blood, the blood of the dead raiders he has slain.
Admiring my collection. I'm afraid it's not complete yet. Soon, though. Yes, just like that. Hold that expression on your face.
It looks like raiders have finally had enough of it and have tracked Pickman down to this building. As you wind your way through the facility, you encounter many groups of raiders, all talking about Pickman and how he has terrorized them.
Pickman! You can't hide forever, you sick bastard. You can't hide forever, Pickman. You hear me? You're a dead man!
Until you finally come upon a room where raiders have Pickman cornered with guns to his face.
Finally got you, Pickman. Thought you could hunt and torture our people to your heart's content? I'm gonna enjoy killing you.
Here, you have two choices. You can kill the raiders and save Pickman.
That was close. Thank you. Those people deserved worse than death.
Why did they want you so badly?
A small disagreement. They objected to my hobby of collecting their heads.
They were cold-blooded killers.
They got their pound of flesh. But I'll collect my own again soon. I owe you.
You don't owe me anything. I would have done it either way.
That's all the more reason to reward you.
What did you have in mind?
A gift. Nothing more. If you visit my house again, look deep within my painting, Picnic for Stanley, and you will find my gratitude.
If you go back to the gallery with the key that Pickman gave you, you find a safe behind the Stanley painting. Inside you find a bunch of gear, including a unique legendary knife. The thought that this is the blade that eviscerated all those raiders is a tad disturbing. You also find a thank you note from Pickman inside.
See you around, killer.
The other option is to kill the raiders and kill Pickman. If you choose this option, you still get the key to the safe, but inside the safe there's no thank you note. That's the only difference. Incidentally, the confrontation room is also where you find the astoundingly awesome Tails number 9, which grants +5 to poison resistance, and the lockpicking bobblehead.
Yes.
Incidentally, when you return to Hancock to turn in the quest, he is disgusted by what you found and he laughs at your sarcastic response.
Oh, God, it was awful. Pickman was a serial killer, and he was using dead bodies for his art.
Oh, seriously? That's messed up. Even for this town.
Let's just say Pickman's art isn't gonna have much resale value once all those bodies start decaying.
Well, they say all artistic inspiration is ephemeral, am I right? Wish I could say that was the most twisted thing I've ever heard of, but it ranks up there. Top 3.
But you also get the option to approve of what Pickman does, and if you do, Hancock gets creeped out by you.
Man, you should have seen it. Pickman was using dead bodies as a canvas. It was raw, but beautiful.
Okay. Far be it for me to judge someone on what turns their crank. But you'll forgive me if I advise my people to avoid that place, yeah? Anyway, you did the job. Here, your money. Always happy to see someone enjoy their work.
Which I think was a great touch. By the way, am I the only one who felt they could have done more with Fahrenheit?
Excuse me.
A new player and good neighbor. Hello, little pawn. Welcome to our fun and games.
I mean, she's just there for a few scenes as Hancock's bodyguard. She looks like she would have made an interesting companion. At any rate, ultimately the result of either choice is exactly the same. You get the same gear, and the quest is really of no consequence to your final playthrough. But after doing this little quest, I spent a long time thinking about whether or not it's moral to kill Pickman or let him live. On one hand, the man is clearly unstable, but on the other hand, he's only killing raiders. And at the end of the day, as Pickman himself reminds you, that's what you're doing too.
See you around, killer.
The difference is that you kill with a gun quickly and then you move on, whereas Pickman kills with a knife, kills slowly, and relishes every moment. Yes, it's disgusting, yes, it's disturbing, but does that mean he deserves death? Now, if this were to take place in the real world, then yes, I would say that Pickman deserves justice. In our world, we have the rule of law, we have police forces who are designed to track down criminals like raiders, and it's not up to the population to go on vigilante sprees of justice, murdering people they think are criminals. So if this were to take place in the real world, Pickman should be arrested and charged. But in the Fallout 4 world, there is no organized government. There is no organized justice system. The only system of justice is vigilante justice. So for this world, having a man like Pickman around is very useful. One man like Pickman rids the Commonwealth of thieves, murderers, and rapists, one raider at a time. That is a net benefit for the Commonwealth. And yet, there's just something viscerally disgusting about what he does. Indeed, if you bring any of your companions through the Pickman gallery, all of them react negatively to you sparing Pickman or accepting his praise, with the exception of X688. The synth from the Institute is the only one who's like, whatever. Everyone else reacts negatively, even good old Codsworth. And so I struggled with this. Why am I so turned off by Pickman, even though the end result of what he does is good? Well, the reason I think is because Pickman is exhibiting a mental illness. He's a serial killer. Serial killers are mentally ill men and women whose activities betray a weakened mind, a lack of impulse control, and a stunted character. That's what bothers me about Pickman. I would prefer Pickman to be a whole and healed individual. I would prefer Pickman to be of sound mind. That would make him a much more well-rounded individual, a better friend, a better family member, and a better human being. Even though the end result of his actions is a net good for the Commonwealth, he's still a disturbed individual. He's wounded and he needs to be healed. I'm a firm believer that serial killers are made, not born. They're a product of their childhood environment. A study by Wilson and Seaman from 1990 concluded that the number one most common factor between all serial killers is that they had an abusive childhood. It's common for serial killers to come from family home environments that had some sort of broken home scenario, whether it's divorce, lack of discipline in the home, emotional or physical separation from parents and siblings, or straight up physical and emotional abuse, whether violent abuse, sexual abuse, or emotional neglect. A child responds to that kind of environment by creating their own fantasy world where they have total control. Their new daily existence is now this fantasy world. They have control over their toys, over their imaginary friends. As they grow up, they want to extend that control over animals, and some do so by tormenting animals, over inanimate objects, and some do so by setting them on fire. Due to a lack of control over their environment when they were young, the greatest good to them becomes greater control over their environment as they grow. And sometimes the only way they can demonstrate that control is by destroying things. Here's a quote from criminologist Stephen Giangelo in his 1996 book, The Psychopathology of a Serial Murderer. Quote, "The child becomes sociopathic because the normal development of the concept of right and wrong and empathy towards others is retarded because the child's emotional and social development occurs within his self-centered fantasies. A person can do no wrong in his own world, and the pain of others is of no consequence when the purpose of the fantasy world is to satisfy the needs of one person." End quote. A normal, healthy person's emotional and social development happens around loving friends and family who not only lavish the person with love and attention, but also challenge that person when that person becomes too self-centered and too selfish. The child then changes his or her behavior to please the people that he or she is around. But when a child is neglected, when that child doesn't have peers who love him and challenge him, and when that child does not have parents who instruct and discipline him, the only person he or she has to please is himself. That can lead to a child developing an emotional and social capacity where the only rule is his own, where the only God is himself, and it's very dangerous when you become your own little God. More evidence that serial killers exhibit a type of psychopathy that is endemic of stunted mental growth is that their IQ on average is lower than normal. A study of over 200 serial killers found that the average IQ was 89. The average IQ for most people is between 90 and 110. That puts the average IQ of a serial killer 11 points lower than the human median. The funny thing about serial killers is that people who know them, usually, actually think that they have higher IQs than they do. There are many serial killers who fit snugly into society, and people would never know that they kill on the side because they're charming, and they're interesting, and they seem to fit in well with the world. Pickman is like that. He's a charming guy. He's interesting to talk to. He kind of has this seductive way of talking. You kind of want him to like you. But they've developed that characteristic as a necessity to masquerade. They wouldn't be able to do what they do if they bumped around the world like a Neanderthal bashing people with clubs. They have to fit into society so that they can be free to kill. Psychiatrist Hervey M. Cleckley calls this the mask of sanity in his 1982 book, The Mask of Sanity. Sociopaths are able to project a mask of normalcy that conceals their mental disorder. Ronald Holmes and Stephen Holmes, in their 1998 book Serial Murderer, categorized serial killers into 4 different types. The first type is visionary. This type is the most classic type of the mentally deranged serial killer. The visionary serial killer often performs his actions because some higher power told him to. God told me to kill. The devil told me to kill. They are disconnected and clearly suffering from a mental disorder. The second is mission-oriented. These type of serial killers do so for a cause. They like to kill classes of people classified by race or profession. Prostitutes, for example, are often killed by serial killers who justify the act because prostitution is a social evil. They think they're doing the world a good favor. Incidentally, this is the categorization that Pickman falls under. The third is hedonistic. These are serial killers that derive some sort of animalistic, insatiable pleasure out of what they do, and their crimes are often laced with some sort of sexual gratification. And the fourth is power or control. These serial killers act because they want to feel in control of their situation. They want to feel like they have power. Again, all of these stem from stunted developmental growth that came about from some sort of childhood abuse. Knowing this, I feel great empathy towards Pickman. You, the player character, kill for very different reasons than Pickman. You kill because you're forced to kill. Raiders attack you. They raid your settlements. You walk through the Commonwealth, they open fire. It's the same reason you kill super mutants, synths, and any of the other enemies in the game. Pickman is a mission-oriented serial killer. He has his own little home, tucked away, where he carves up his bodies, relishes and savors every detail. When he feels the need, he goes out at night and kills raiders, then places calling cards on their bodies to try and lure them into his lair. While the sole survivor kills out of necessity to survive, Pickman kills for pleasure. He's a spider trying to entice people into his web. So, does that mean that he should be killed? Well, no, I don't think so. Yes, it's disgusting, and yes, what he does is horrible, but in this post-apocalyptic world where there is no rule of law, I don't think murdering Pickman is the appropriate reaction. What I wish I could do is try to heal him. He suffers from a mission-oriented form of serial killer psychopathy. We could take that mental disorder and try and heal that need by giving him a mission. What if we could bring Pickman into the Minutemen or into the Brotherhood of Steel? What if we could give him a new mission, give him a new cause? Sociopaths who suffered childhood abuse often are seeking positive attention they didn't get as a child. What if we rewarded Pickman for being a good soldier, for protecting his comrades? Taking that passion of his and spinning it towards something good, noble, and beautiful, protecting the Commonwealth, protecting the Brotherhood, protecting his fellow soldiers, protecting innocent lives. Maybe after years of being out there on the beat, protecting the world from this evil, he will heal, and he'll start to value other people as much as himself. It becomes less about his own needs, his desires, satiating this craving within him, and more about serving other people and helping his comrades. Is it possible? Or is it too late for Pickman? Maybe it's too late. Maybe now that he's an adult, he is a serial killer forever. He can't be changed, and people rarely change. Maybe it's true. Maybe it is too late for Pickman. I don't know. I'd like to think that there's hope for a guy like Pickman. He's not totally detached from reality. He sees the fact that raiders are a great evil on the world, that they're a blight in this universe. And in his own way, he wants to make it better. Maybe that means there's a seed of nobility within him. Maybe there is something there that can be redeemed. Because he's a mission-oriented serial killer, there's little risk that he would ever take his activities and turn them against innocents. He does what he does because he has a passion for killing raiders. Too much passion. He even reminds you that there's no need to be enemies with him because he's not interested in you. He's not interested in people like you. The two of you actually have the same ultimate goal in mind.
Those people deserved worse than death.
Maybe you deserve the same.
So saith one born killer to another. Regardless, I pay my debts.
If I let you live.
I'm helping you just by doing what I love. Why squander such gifts?
But again, if Pickman were in the real world, he would need to seek justice. He would need to be arrested, he would need to be tried before a jury, and he would need to face the consequences of his vigilante actions. And then maybe in prison he could get the psychological care that he needs so that he can heal as a human being. But Fallout 4 doesn't have psychiatrists. They don't have jails, they don't have hospitals that heal the mentally deranged. In this world, the only justice is vigilante justice, and for that reason, I believe that the most moral choice is to let Pickman do his thing. But that is just one man's opinion. What is your opinion, ladies and gentlemen? I would love to hear what you think on this topic. Please leave me a comment on this video. I read all of my comments and I respond to many of them. Am I out of line, or does my reasoning ring true? Let me know in the comments below. I produce a new video every single day on a range of topics from lore to mods, so please subscribe to my channel for more Fallout 4 content. Your subscriptions keep this channel alive. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Patreon subscribers gain access to my private Discord server and a whole bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just so very glad that you're here watching. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'll see you tomorrow morning with another video.